Should you book a 3-night cruise, or are you better off spending your money on a longer sailing? Let's talk about what the benefits are and why you should take a weekend cruise up next. Hey everyone, it's Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. Weighing value versus opportunity is something a lot of cruisers consider when planning their next cruise vacation, and short sailings have certain advantages and, of course, disadvantages to them. After all, the weekend is the perfect time to take a short break, so why not go on a cruise? When people think of cruises, they tend to imagine a sailing that's, I think, 7 nights or longer. After all, if you're going to fly to a port for a vacation, you want to maximize your experience, but you can find plenty of weekend cruises available, and the majority of them sailing from Florida ports. So what makes them so appealing? If you're debating booking a short cruise versus a longer one, here's what you should know about booking a quick 3-night cruise vacation. Let's start off with why you should book a short cruise, and there are a lot of good reasons. Number one, a cheaper upfront cost. The best reason to book a short cruise is it's probably going to cost you less than a longer sailing. In terms of the overall cost of a cruise, a 3-night cruise will almost always cost less than a week-long cruise vacation, which is perfect for anybody on a limited budget. While the per-night cost of a short cruise is probably higher than a 7-night cruise, your cruise fare out-the-door price is still probably going to come out less than a longer sailing. Many people that book short cruises tend to want an inexpensive getaway rather than an extravagant voyage. Let's also not forget the fact that shorter cruises are convenient. Cruise lines, including Royal Caribbean, schedule 3-night cruises over weekends, and that means it's easier to get away from work or school for these sorts of trips. A 3-night cruise that departs on a Friday will get you back on Monday morning, meaning the amount of vacation time you need is pretty minimal. If you happen to live near the cruise port where the ship sails from, it's almost as easy to hop on a weekend 3-night cruise as it is to go to the beach for the same amount of time and stay in a hotel. Another good reason to do a 3-night cruise is it can be a great introduction to cruising. 3-night cruises are a popular choice among first-time cruisers because it requires the least commitment to cruise, but still allows those people to dip their toes, so to speak, into the proverbial cruising waters. A common concern among first-time cruisers is they're worried that they might not like what a cruise vacation is all about. So as a result, they book a short cruise to give it a try. Now, I'll be perfectly honest with all of you. I still recommend that first-time cruisers book a longer sailing for their first cruise, like a 7-night cruise, but a short cruise remains a less expensive way for those kind of people to test out what a cruise is all about. All that being said, there are definitely some drawbacks to taking a short cruise. First of all, the cruise is going to be over before you know it, because a short cruise means your voyage will conclude just as quickly as it began. Just like any weekend, a 3-night cruise leaves very little time to do a lot on board, and you'll quickly find that a short sailing leaves limited opportunity to do it all, so to speak, on board. Royal Caribbean packs its ships with lots of fun things to do, and then there are the ports of calls that you'll visit that will also offer exciting tours. All of this means your opportunity to experience everything on the ship is pretty minimal. One of the most primary concerns people have about booking a short cruise is usually they didn't have enough time to do everything during the cruise. Number two, flight costs can be more than the cruise. If you're traveling to your cruise from somewhere that requires you to fly, oftentimes the cost of the flight dilutes any value of the cheap cruise fare we talked about earlier. Travel costs associated with getting to the cruise port makes 3-night cruises a better value for anybody that can drive to the port rather than the family vacation where you fly the day before the cruise begins, stay in a hotel, and then rack up other related charges. Also noteworthy is that the newest cruise ships in Royal Caribbean don't offer 3-night cruises. If you watched a Royal Caribbean commercial or saw the amazing things you can do on an Oasis or Quantum class ship, unfortunately, you can't do a 3-night cruise on those cruises. While Royal Caribbean's Voyager class ships and even the Freedom class ships offer a lot of activities on board, they're not quite the same level of incredible amenities as the newest and biggest ships out there. Many first-time cruisers are attracted by the glimmer of the latest and greatest cruise ships out there. But keep in mind that a 3-night cruise means going on a slightly older ship that doesn't offer quite the same experience as the bigger ships that are out there. It is worth mentioning, by the way, that Allure of the Seas will start doing 3-night cruises in 2023, but she didn't get her amplification like Oasis of the Seas did, so it's a little better than it has been, and certainly things have gone a lot better than years ago in which some of the really old ships were doing 3-night cruises, but it's not quite the latest and greatest on the 3-night short cruise market. Something else to consider about a 3-night cruise is I really hope you like the Bahamas, because if you're doing a 3-night cruise, that's pretty much all you're going to. In the case of North America, 3-night cruises almost always visit the exact same ports in the Bahamas. While the Bahamas are lovely, and I like going there just as much as anybody, they lack the exotic appeal that other Caribbean ports offer. Elsewhere, weekend cruises from California go to Baja, Mexico, and 4-nighters from Galveston will visit Cozumel. While the fact 3-night cruises from Florida only visit the Bahamas is, we're listing this under a negative here, I will be the first to admit, though, visiting Perfect Day at Coco Key is absolutely worthwhile, and I can go there every single weekend. So, should you book a short 3-night cruise? I think there are a couple of good reasons why you should. First of all, the ships are really more intimate on a 3-night cruise. One thing to be aware of is that weekend cruises tend to be on smaller ships, which is not a bad thing because when you're on a Voyager class ship or even a Freedom class ship, which is not a small ship by any stretch of the imagination, there is still this kind of sense of, more time spent enjoying the cruise rather than a ton of activities. Don't get me wrong, there's plenty to see and do on board, but when you're on a short cruise, I feel like there's a lot of different activities on board, and you'll find plenty of options to consider. Some ships have the flow rider, water slides, and a sky pad. Nightly entertainment includes headliner acts such as singers or comedians, dancing in the lounges, singers in the pub, and in the schooner bar. If your ship has an ice rink, well, then you're going to be treated to an amazing ice show. And if you'd rather stay indoors, you can always go to the casino. And, of course, they have fun things you can do in port. In terms of dining, I think a 3-night cruise is really good for dining because it's much more affordable to be able to do an unlimited dining package because you're going to have a choice, of course, of complimentary dining, the main dining room, Windjammer. We've talked about all those amazing places as well. But don't forget, just about all the ships doing 3-night cruises have Chops Grill, some sort of an Italian restaurant, whether it's Giovanni's or it is Jamie's. And then, of course, they could also have Izumi Hibachi or maybe Playmakers or even Johnny Rockets. So there's a lot of compelling dining choices on a 3-night cruise, and still better than cheaper, probably, than eating out at home. Truly, the 3-night cruise is really ideal for anybody who can drive there. It's a perfect trip for locals. Those who live in Florida have the luxury of being able to drive to the nearest port. Heck, even folks in neighboring states like Georgia or the Carolinas can make this a worthwhile weekend trip. Taking a weekend cruise means being able to get away for a quick getaway without having to burn a lot of vacation time. Weekend cruises are perfect for that special celebration. You'll always see on board a birthday or anniversary being acknowledged in the restaurants, and these sailings have also become popular with bachelor and bachelorette parties. It's basically a great way for a mini vacation. Now, if you're saying, well, Matt, I want to be able to do a 3-night cruise, but I'm flying. How do I make it work? And the answer is make it part of a longer vacation. What I mean by this is do a 3-night cruise, but then do some time on land. Maybe rent a Verbo, a vacation home. Maybe go to Universal Studios or Walt Disney World in Florida and do some time on land, then go on the cruise and recharge after all that fun on land. That's another great strategy for making the vacation more expansive in the sense that you've got this week off, but you want to combine a short cruise with that price tag with something else to do in the other days that you have off. And lastly, when it comes to a 3-night cruise, you really can't beat the value, especially if you try considering a hotel on the beach. These days, 3-day sailings on cruises like Freedom of the Seas out of Miami start at like $150 per person. Even if you could find a resort on the beach for that price, there's no way you're going to include food, entertainment, and transportation. Weekend cruises are a great idea, and I do them all the time because it's like having a weekend condo. Little weekending in the Bahamas sounds very bougie, but I'll be the first to admit it's a lot of fun and a cool way to incorporate friends and family on a weekend trip. Ultimately, the decision to book a short cruise or not depends on how strongly you feel about the lower costs versus how much time you'll need to enjoy the vacation. A 3-night cruise will be an affordable and fun experience that may mean limited activities on board and a busy schedule of activities and port adventures. But if you have the time and money, a longer cruise, like a 6 or 7-night cruise, can offer a larger cruise ship with more to see and do, as well as a greater variety of places you'll visit. Basically, short cruises are great for a weekend getaway, so be sure to savor every minute of it. Let me know in the comments below, what are your thoughts on a weekend cruise? Is a 3-night cruise worth it? Let me know in the comments below. Also, please do me a favor, hit that like button. It really helps us out. And subscribe to our channel so that way you don't miss any of our videos. And by the way, that little bell icon, that will alert you for free, by the way, that we have a new video here. So that way you don't miss out on any of our new published videos. This has been Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. We'll talk again real soon.